Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to have an interesting update. TSMC recently reported their monthly revenue numbers, and I do believe it's really great news for the overall semiconductor market. This is one of the biggest monthly numbers. It actually is the biggest monthly numbers we've seen from TSMC before, and I think this is just a very, very strong indication of how strong the semiconductor and the AI market is. Now, there are some investors that might be concerned if this is the cause of tariffs and kind of customers over ordering at the beginning. I want to provide maybe some evidence to discuss why I don't believe that's the case. So let's take a closer look in today's numbers.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so let's start off here with TSMC. And actually, let's just put up the stock price real quick. I just want to see how TSMC did on the day. So we can see most of the market was pretty high before everything started to go lower and lower. But TSMC at one point today opened up at nearly $180 and it finished the day at $176. Now, for those that are not familiar, TSMC is the massive producer of a lot of the AI chips, a lot of these kind of semiconductor products that go on your laptops, on your PCs. Companies like AMD, like Intel, like Nvidia, like Apple use them to manufacture their chips. And this is the biggest market shareholder in the advanced manufacturing market. Now, TSMC, they do report their monthly numbers, so investors get to really see how this space is evolving over time. Now, for May 9th, during May 9th of 2025, they did report their April 2025 numbers. And for their April 2025 numbers, these numbers are all in new Taiwanese dollars. Let's just remember that they're not US dollars, but we can see month over month increase of 22.2%. And they had about 349 billion new Taiwanese dollars. Now, again, 22% month over month increase is insane. But what I thought was even crazier was the 48% year over year increase versus April of same time last year. Now, if we kind of look from January to April and kind of look at that year to date time frame, it's up about 43%. So this is definitely going to be a massive, massive record year for TSMC. All right, so here's a quick chart that TSMC also provides, and we can see 349 billion is the largest number TSMC has ever recorded in forms of monthly revenue. And we can see the only time it was close was last year in October of 2024, where it did about 314. So what I find a little bit fascinating, and maybe this is where things might be a little bit of maybe a bearish case or something that investors might want to look into, is year to date from January to April of 2025 versus January to April of 2024. Year over year increase is about 43.5%. Now, TSMC has mentioned that for the full year of 2025 revenue, we're going to see revenue expectations close to the mid 20% in US dollars. Maybe that's something to kind of keep in mind of, right? Forex transfer and a lot of things happening in that industry can change. But wouldn't you expect it to be closer to that number we're seeing right now? The only thing that I'm guessing is right now maybe TSMC is seeing a lot of the growth in the front half, at least for right now in visibility, and in the back half they might not have too much visibility and giving us that 20% year over year. Mid 20% is what they mentioned, so closer to 25%. So I think if you are an investor, and what might happen in the upcoming months is maybe we don't see those big year over year increases. But remember, I just kind of pull up that chart really quick. Last At the end of last year, we did have some crazy numbers, so something to keep in mind there. Now, there are a lot of discussions going online that maybe this is customers pulling orders ahead due to tariffs fear and to maybe any more uncertainties in the tariff space and macroeconomics, so they're trying to pull in a lot of the orders right now. But remember, this is for the April month. That was about a month ago. And a month ago, TSMC actually did report their earnings. They actually reported their earnings on April 17th of 2025. And the CEO of TSMC mentioned the following. Let me talk about the recent tariffs. We understand there are uncertainties and risk from potential impacts of tariffs policies. However, we have not seen any change in our customers' behavior so far. Therefore, we continue to expect our full year 2025 revenue to increase by close to mid 20% in US dollars term. We might get better picture in the next few months, and we will continue to closely monitor and potentially impact to the end market demand and manage our business prudently. They also talk about their AI demand outlook. They continue to observe robust AI related demand from their customers throughout 2025. They reaffirmed their revenue from AI accelerators to double in 2025. And the AI accelerators they defined are thinking. So overall, they're seeing massive demand. So right now, this is for that April month, and that April is when the company reported earnings. And as we saw, TSMC management said that they had not seen any change in customer behavior. I'm going to trust them. I do believe TSMC's management is very trustworthy. So I think this is right now just showcasing that high demand. Now, again, I do believe that we're seeing a nice year-over-year increase for the current year to date versus the same time last year, and it's a lot higher than that 25 mid 20% that they are talking about. So maybe throughout the year, as we get closer throughout the months or the end of the year, we're going to start these growth rates to compress a little bit. Regardless, over 20% year over year growth is still insane. So I do believe this is very bullish for companies like AMD. AMD is a huge customer of TSMC. It's also, in my opinion, very bullish for NVIDIA. And the thing is, these are for chips that are expected to be released in products within the next few months, right? For TSMC, what's crucial is they manufacture the chips, but these chips still need to be produced into other products, right? They need to go into AI servers, they need to go into laptops, into PCs, into tablets, and that takes a few months probably, right? So this is a huge demand of chips coming in right now, and it's because they see a strong demand in the upcoming months for these products, right? Because it's not like these products are being sold right now. They have to they have to be finished goods. So I think that's also a great indication of how the semiconductor market is seeing kind of the industry or kind of the consumer space within the later this year. So I think it's also another bullish sign. Now, the final thing I want to take a closer look at is all this is amazing, but things can change over the weekend. Over this weekend, we do know that the United States and China are set to have their icebreaker trade talks. And again, I don't think here we're going to get any real trade deal. These are just trade talks and people getting at the table and discussing how maybe they can create a framework. I think that's the best word to kind of discuss what's going to happen over the weekend. A framework. Now, if something amazing happens outside of the framework and we see maybe a reduction of some tariffs or some potential high chances or positive wording. I think that's another thing. Positive wording about the sit down from both entities, the United States and China, if they both say, look, we actually had a great talk. Obviously, we haven't finalized anything, but we had a great talk. Just hearing that there was a great talk, I think could be a very bullish sentiment for the stock market. Now, obviously, a scenario where we hear the opposite of that can actually create more of a bearish case for the stock market. So I do believe this year, with everything happening, is going to be the year of uncertainty and a year of volatility, where no matter what happens, we're always going to be writing or thinking at the back of the minds, what if something else is said by the current administration? What happens if something else happens in another country? So I do believe this is going to be a very volatile year, and just get ready. I think there are going to be massive amounts of opportunities for long-term investors. And if you want to learn about those opportunities, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.